So guys, I've known TJ forever, so forgive our friendly nuances that will come through the call, but then we'll try to keep this as focused as possible. Thank you so much for joining us today, Taiwo Julius. It's a pleasure to have you come share your thoughts with us today and share some of the strategies that has worked for you in the job search process. But before I go on, I really want to acknowledge you for all the support you provide to the Black community here in Canada, for your strength, your vigor, and your endless service. I mean, Taiwo Julius is somebody you call for anything, whatever, whenever, and he's always there to support and provide some guide and advice. So thank you for all that you do. It's amazing to spend some time with you this afternoon.
Thank you so much, Bosun, for having me. I mean, it's a pleasure being on your show. I don't want to use the word addict. I'm a regular follower. And I can say I've listened to almost all of your videos.
Thank you.
As regards the Black community, this is who we are, and we have to support ourselves. Like
Absolutely.
I tell people, it's not our differences that separate us, it's our inability to deal with our differences.
I agree.
That's what actually separates us. And I'm glad I'm doing it's a privilege really to be doing all of those things and supporting the Black community.
Well, thank you on behalf of all of us.
I mean, you're doing awesome things. I mean, that's why we're here today. So
Amazing.
Thank you too for the great things you're doing.
Thank you. Thank you. So we'll delve right in. My first question is about your background. So tell us a bit about your background, as much as possible about your story, because that's what we're interested in, how it's been for you since you landed in Canada, how you navigated the job search process. Just tell us about your story.
All right, thanks again, Bosun, for this opportunity. I'm not sure I've said my story on so many platforms because, I mean, it keeps evolving and I've not even started yet. So, yeah. So really, I got into Canada December 26th, 2018. I came with my boys. My wife was here earlier than us. She came in August 2018 for her MBA. And I mean, the journey started right away. And I remember very vividly, my first interview was like 2 weeks after I got into Canada. I was all excited. I got lost about 3 times trying to navigate the map and all of that, as it is with every newcomer, but again, it took me a while, getting the kind of job I really wanted. So my background is in human resources. I've done human resources back home in Nigeria. I've done human resources across 3 countries, Nigeria, Ghana, and Liberia. And then getting into Canada as the head of HR, and HR director, and then having to okay, what's going on here? Did a lot of applications, nothing was forthcoming. Eventually I started actually by working in a bakery, the popular Agege bread.
Ooh.
The owner is my brother's friend, worked in that bakery. I'm not sure I lasted a week because it was really awful. I was really in pains. My back was always aching. And I felt like, no, I'm not cut out for stuff like this, and then I got a call center job. After that, got a sales job in one of the telecoms. It was field sales. The door was slammed in my face a whole lot of times, but I just laugh it off. I don't take those things to heart. And then I did inside sales. But all of this time I was working, part-time for a consulting firm, because this is what I always wanted to do. So I had the opportunity to practice part-time, but I also kept, investing in myself. I did a ProSci, a change management certification, because I was also thinking of change management at that point, transitioning from HR to change management. I did a bit of change management back home as well, but, not in the capacity that I would really like to do. And that was why I spent about 4,000 Canadian dollars,
out of pocket.
Out of pocket.
Wow.
that was how hungry I was for knowledge, and again, I started my HR certification. Okay, prior to that time, I didn't know that the HR bodies differ from Ontario to the rest of Canada. So I felt I was really equipped. I did my CPHR that the entire Canada uses, only for me to realize, okay, Ontario has a different one. I'm like, okay, here we go again, And I think sometime this year, I incorporated my management consulting firm where I do HR consulting, change management, and all of that. Thanks to COVID, we could do a number of things, while
Amazing.
working from home. And that was, what I did. So my passion lies in coaching people, helping people fulfill their destinies, their career goals, and all of that. And I've been able to do that through Tammy Wheels. I've been doing that like since forever, now doing it under a corporate organization and all of that gave me a lot of joy while still searching for my own kind of, job that I really wanted,
Opportunity.
which is change management. And recently, I got a very fantastic change management role. And while I was celebrating that and looking forward to resumption, I got an even better role. Now, like it was so shocking, but it still looks like a dream till date because the increment from that first fantastic role and the current offer is more than my annual salary when I was doing sales.
Ooh.
The increment alone. So for me, like I'm really grateful to the support system I have, my wife, fantastic woman, you know. So I mean that's how my story has been so far.
That's amazing. Really, really amazing story. And of course, when people hear about your success right now, what you're doing, where you are, they really don't have an understanding of how far you've come
Absolutely.
and all that you've done. But before I move to my next question, I actually wanted to ask something that came up to my mind, and I know it's something a lot of immigrants struggle with. Like you come in, we all don't get our corporate opportunities right away, and some of us get started with the survival jobs, and the big challenge is always coming out of the survival job. So tell us some of the things you did that helped you not to get stuck there.
All right. So for me, I had a strategy. Strategies will not always work, but what if it works?
Mm,
Right? So for me, I mean, talking about survival jobs, I did all sorts. I mean, I did all kinds of deliveries, DoorDash, Uber Eats, Corner Shop. I did Uber, I did Lyft. For someone who really doesn't enjoy driving, but I
mm,
had to do all of those things because the more you spend naira, the more frustrated you are. So I felt
absolutely.
like the earlier I can start earning in dollars, irrespective of, how much I was earning, the better for me. So coupled with the fact that my wife was a student, I did all kinds of work. Some I did during the day, some I did overnight, just so that, something that works for the family. While she's in school, I could take care of the kids. And while everybody slept, I could work overnight, and take care of the family. So one of the things that helped me was the fact that, like I said, I relationships matter a lot.
Mm,
So there's this friend and colleague that we worked together far back in 2010 who has started his own company here. I was able to liaise with him, and then I was doing, a part-time chain management roles with him, and that's what you see on my resume. That's what you see on LinkedIn. Because again, I was very particular about what I wanted. So even though some opportunities were coming, I felt like, nah, I'm not going to do recruitment. I didn't want to get stuck, in what I wasn't interested in for so long. So I kept telling myself, if none of these plans work, none of these strategies work, I was just going to step out in faith, and start my consulting firm. I mean, I have all the maybe not
skill set
all.
anyways.
I have what it takes to start.
Mm-hmm.
I just needed to network with people, work in corporate Canada, have an understanding of how
How it
things
works,
work
yeah.
around here,
Mm-hmm.
and then how to serve my clients better. I also needed to network a lot. People want to see your antecedents, see what you've done,
True.
and all of that. So for me, that was my strategy, and I said, give myself a time frame, but because I was still doing stuff part time, and then I was deriving a lot of pleasure from working with people, seeing them getting their jobs, and their coach is still searching.
Wow.
I turned
Wow.
down some speaking engagements because I didn't feel good that I would now go there and go and say what I knew how
Mm-hmm.
this all the strategies. But I just kept telling myself that it's all about time and chance. So
Oh,
have a
wow.
strategy that works. Keep networking. You need to up your networking game, and that was something that really worked for me. You
Well,
know.
I have a question around networking.
Okay, we'll get to it.
I'll allow you talk more about networking then.
Okay,
But
awesome.
the question I wanted to ask right after is something around the strategies, right? I know you put in a lot of strategies, like you have this mega job right now. What are the strategies that you applied? I know you've been at it for a while, but what are the things that worked for you that someone else could try, or that could be beneficial for someone else in getting their opportunity as well?
All right. That's a good question. So first and foremost, I wasn't kidding myself, and I was only applying to roles I was well suited for. I wasn't going to waste my time, align my resume to a JD that I feel like I'm not well suited for. So
Mm,
I didn't do all of that. Those things were time wasters for me. So I didn't do any of that. Yes, number one, I aligned my resumes a lot to job descriptions. I used job scans a lot of times just to see how compliant or how relevant my JD was to, um, the my resume was to the job description. And these ATS, they would throw out the keywords. So I kept, including all those keywords into my resume so that
mm,
the organization's ATS would you know, readily pick my resume and, formatted, did all of those things. So I did a lot of that. I did a lot of, okay, we'll go back to networking later, right? Okay, so what else did I do? I made sure I was adequately prepared for all my interviews. Like I
mm.
didn't take any interview like a joke, whether it was first stage, second stage, third stage, and I had people around me that I could bounce ideas off. So I took all of those networking again, no. I took all of those
No,
interviews
okay.
really seriously. Now, I took all of those interviews really seriously, researched about the clients, the organization, researched about the role, and I made sure I had almost every recruiter I spoke with said, "Oh, those are thoughtful questions that you've asked." I didn't waste my time or the recruiter's time asking questions I could see on the website, on the job
Mm-hmm,
descriptions.
mm-hmm,
I thought hard and deep and got questions that made them think twice before answering. And
mm,
it also showed that I was interested in the roles. It
mm-hmm.
showed that I had a depth of understanding of what I was coming to do, and in fact, in asking some questions, I kind of understood what they were going through at the moment, and it better positioned me to, position myself as a value-added solution provider, and that it would be their loss if they didn't pick me. Yes, it took
Amazing.
a while for me to eventually land the kind of job I wanted, but that was I was consistent with that practice, and eventually it paid off.
That's amazing. And the key things I picked from that is first, you went for the jobs that you were interested in, so you didn't have to waste your time
Yeah.
aligning your resume unnecessarily. And then you did use JobScan to ensure that your CV does not get kicked out by the
Hmm.
applicant tracking system. And then,
Hmm.
of course, the due diligence of preparing for an interview and asking the right questions to show that you've thoroughly thought about the role. That those are great points, definitely. And I know you can't wait to talk about networking. So I know that that's one of your key strengths as well. Like guys, everybody knows Taiwo Julius, or he knows somebody that knows somebody. That's how well connected he is. But I'll ask the networking question. And what I want to ask first is this: Does networking actually work? uh, think about the advice people get all the time, like network, network, network. And then you send emails to people, you get ghosted by people or ghosted by recruiters. And sometimes you may want to become, how do I say it now? You don't want to become a burden on the people that you're
Hmm.
networking with. So, how did networking work for? First, does it work? How did it work for you? And how did you make networking work for you?
All right, thank you. I'm a shameless networker when it comes to networking, especially because I can't get into a room for 5-10 minutes and remain calm. You have to know there is a TJ in the building. And
Absolutely.
so it was a strength that I had to leverage on, because again, I had to do a self audit. I knew what my strengths were. I knew areas that were work in progress, and
Mm,
it worked for me. So I leveraged a lot on that strength, and then I reached out to people. Now, the mistake a lot of people do, yes, to answer your question directly, yes, networking does work. It worked for me. It did not eventually translate to, or it didn't bring what I wanted on time, but I kept on networking. Now, people want to network with people that they are only familiar with. Maybe
mm,
they have the same skin color, or they are just in the same profession. So, for instance, HR professionals want to only network with HR professionals, forgetting that these HR professionals are actually people vying for the same jobs that they are vying for.
absolutely.
You get, so as a change manager, I was very deliberate in the people I networked with. I looked at okay, so before there can be change management, there has to be an ongoing project, meaning that I needed to know project managers. I
Mm,
networked a lot with project managers. I looked at all the interconnectivities between my role and other various roles on a project team, and I networked with people on the project team. Talk about change managers, talk about project managers, talk about business analysts, talk about continuous improvement professionals, then a lot of HR recruiters, a lot of technology recruiters, and a lot of IT guys, because there were a lot of IT implementation projects. People were working from home. They were bringing about new systems, implementing new systems, and all of that. And I felt like, okay, for me, this is a cash cow. If I
mm.
key myself into these areas, why will I want to network with only chain managers that, you know, we are vying for the same position? So that was my own networking strategy. I also network with people that would have the same sentiments with me, people that maybe transition from one career to the other, irrespective of that career. So when I look through their LinkedIn profiles, I say, oh, this guy actually also changed careers at some
Mhm.
point. I'd like to hear about his story, what he did, what worked for him, what didn't work for him. And I mean, people can easily take 20 minutes, 15 minutes out of work to have a virtual coffee chat with you. I had a template, copy and paste for my networking um, requests. So I just change the name. I sometimes just look at the role, look at the organization, just modify on as needed, and I send them out. And more than 80% of people responded to me.
Wow. I was going to ask about the percentage of response
Yeah,
because that is amazing, right? 80%
yeah,
response rate is amazing.
yeah. And I think part of why that happened was because I won't just wake up in the morning and then first thing in the morning I'm sending you a request. No, I look at around lunch and around close of business. And I need to say this. So my LinkedIn, my email would always be opened on my phone, my laptop, and on my wife's phone. So she was doing a lot of applications for me as well, because she knew the kind of roles. So it was a think tank, it was a
Mm,
tag team, and we were attacking and firing from all cylinders. So she played a huge role. And because she did her MBA at Rotman Business School, University of Toronto, she brought me up to speed. This is the template they use at U of T. This is how to write a. I'm
mhm,
an HR professional, but
mhm.
I was humble enough to learn from her, because she had passed through a life transforming experience that I was yet to pass through. And she was my coach at that point, one of my many coaches. So I had coaches, I had mentors across industries, and all of these people, we have fantastic relationships till
Okay,
date.
let me ask you, can you give, because this is going to help someone, trust me, can
Okay.
you give a short description of what your message is to people when you're reaching out to network? What does that message sound like?
So the funny thing is the genuineness of that
So
message.
I'm looking for a template for someone.
I can share its template with
No,
you.
no.
Okay. No, I can share a
Yeah,
template
I'm
with you.
happy. If you can share a template, I can definitely attach a template to this video as well for people to
Yeah.
look at, and that would be helpful because I know, having worked a bit in recruitment, I get a lot of um, automated messages that people send, and sometimes the messages are unwelcoming. It looks like somebody has barged into you. You don't have a sense of connection, and sometimes it is emotionally draining when you get hundreds of those messages. But I do come across those that stands out to you, and you feel a sense of commitment reaching back to this person, or at least just connecting and having a chat with them. So I look forward to that template. I'm going to share it, and people would be able to.
Yeah. So funny thing is, people write all sorts in the name of getting noticed. I'm very
Mm,
direct and straight to the point without wasting your time. You must be able to read my message in 30 seconds.
mm,
That
mm.
was the strategy I had. And like I said, very short, straight to the point, no massaging anybody's ego. I just go straight to the point.
Amazing,
Yeah.
amazing.
So I'm
Well,
happy to
I have
share that.
definitely. I look forward to that, and I want to make sure that I don't take too much of your time. But I want to ask this final question because I think it's very important. And the question is, how did you manage the emotional roller coaster that came with all the reject emails? Because I know if you've job searched for that amount of time, you probably can write a reject email with your eyes closed. But how did you manage the emotions of those reject emails, knowing you've been turned down again and again and again?
All right. Before I answer that, I'd like to say one last thing on networking. Now, the first job I got that I said was huge is one of the top 5 banks in Canada. The hiring manager just posted, "Oh, I have this role opened." I saw it early, funny enough,
Mm-hmm.
luckily, and then I sent in my resume. And then I reached out to her to say, "Hello, this person, I just saw this role as advertised by you. I I already applied for the role. I wanted to let you know so you could look out for my resume."
Mm-hmm.
And she was gracious enough to respond and say, "Oh, thanks for reaching out. I would ensure I look out for your resume," and the rest is history. So let's be bold enough to reach out to people directly,
Mm-hmm.
especially when they are not coming through consultants or recruiters. Go for it, right? Now, as to how I manage the emotional roller coasters, um, I'm a very happy-go-lucky guy, and I can make myself happy and validate myself without waiting for external validation. Now that's something I've always done, and I teach my kids, and say to people around me a lot. Now, I'm sure you've seen the analogy where they say, okay, something is happening. Can you directly can you change anything about what is happening? If yes, then why worry?
Mm-hmm.
Because you can actually do something about it. If no, then why worry? You can't do anything about it. So why
Absolutely.
why kill yourself? So for me, what I made sure I did was I had my charging stations. I always have my headset on. I listen to music a lot and all of those things. But sometimes when I'm reading the rejection email, as I see, I will just help them conclude it and say, "Thank you. Don't worry. I'm coming big time." And
Mm.
the organizations that in 30 minutes you get a rejection email, and I'm like, seriously, have you actually looked at my
Did you
resume,
actually read
or
my
did you just
resume?
look at my name, or
Mm.
see my status in Canada as a work permit, and you just said no, and all of those things. But again, I kept telling myself that um, there is a job with my name on it out there, and it's all about time and chance. So when I have touch points with my mentors and my coaches, they're like, "Oh, you're doing everything right." 5 times I got to final stages, 3 years at a bank, and everybody
Wow.
kept giving me fantastic. When you get to, it's bad enough that
Five
you're not,
times you said.
yeah, it's
Final stages 5 times.
5 times.
Wow.
5 times. It's bad enough that you don't even hear back from some people, but to get your hope raised 5 times and you still don't get the job. And then everybody keeps saying, "Oh, fantastic, you did well, but this person is better suited in this
Wow.
role." And then one of those points, I was like, do you mind telling me why you picked this person above me? Just, if you don't mind, as a learning point for me. And the guy said, "Oh, this person is better at this area. Next thing, I called someone, did a quick training, blocked that gap and all of that.
That's
And I
awesome.
was ready. So for
Awesome.
me, those are the kind of feedback, that helped me. So I keep telling people, keep doing your best, keep preparing, but know that you need to guard your heart, because once your
Yes.
joy is depleted, your strength is totally gone. And you need that
Mm,
strength and that, good disposition to make a good impression at interviews.
amazing.
You know, if,
Amazing.
if you're not happy, it reflects on your interview. You can't make small talks, you can't do all of those things
True.
that are necessary. It even affects your ability to, tell stories and connect your strength to the job description, so that, it creates a catalyst for people to see who you are and what you can
Mm.
bring to the team. So
Wow.
so
Thank you. Thank you.
that's what
Thank
I did. I played a lot of YouTube videos, your videos, how to negotiate, how to do this, how to prepare for behavioral interviews. There are some truths in this thing that, yes, you know them, but it helps you see things differently. So
absolutely.
while you are waiting, keep preparing, because when the opportunity comes and then you are ready, then there is that connection. But if
Connection.
the opportunity comes and you're not ready,
Mm.
you've only succeeded in wasting your time, and you keep wallowing in emotional self-pity.
Wow. I really want to thank you so much for sharing all of that, TJ. I think
Thank
this
you.
nuggets will be very, very helpful for someone in the job search process. And I really want this. This is golden. Thank you. Thank you for
Thanks
the
for
time.
having me.
All right. Thank you so much. And I look forward to that template, which I'll share with everyone who manages to stay to watch
You'll be
this interview.
shocked because it's very direct and straightforward.
Amazing. I'll just add it because I think someone needs to see it to really make a sense of sometimes it's not how long you write it, or it's not,
Absolutely.
just to have an idea of the kind of message that connects with people. Well, thank you so much,
Absolutely.
TJ, and then we'll connect again.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
All right. Have a
Take
great
care.
one. Yeah.
You too.